All right, hello, how's it going? Our weekly Wednesday YouTube live for accent coaching for Brazilians. Today, though, we got the Brazil game in about an hour, so today's going to be a fast live because I want to watch that and start getting ready for that stuff. But I still figured I'd keep this routine going, this habit, and hop on in here for a bit and just see who's here, who wants help, whether that's in the chat, maybe having someone on live. I don't know if we'll do that today because we're going to keep it quick. I'd like to do that next week, have some people live on Zoom, do some coaching. But today, maybe I'll just hang out here for a bit, keep the habit alive, and whoever's here in the chat on YouTube, ask me anything you want, any questions, any challenges, and we can go from there and see what we want to talk about today. So feel free to drop any questions you have about words or things, or I can teach something kind of random here as well. Show you some of the stuff I'm working on. Let's see. Hello, where do I send my audio? We're not doing audio submissions today just because of the Brazil game. I'm going to keep today a lot shorter. But for next week, we will do probably some audio submissions and live participation. Today's going to be a much simpler live. Let me show you something I'm working on. That might be interesting. Hi there. Hello. How's it going? So I've started making a custom GPT, like a special version of ChatGPT for each of my clients. I have a generic kind of demo one here that I could show you guys live. You guys could do this on your own if you want to, but I just figured I'd show you a little bit of what's possible. Let me share my screen. So here's a custom, kind of a demo one. If I just click the button, it'll start making some phrases. This one's just generic, but for my clients, I give the GPT specific context for the client, like what their job is, the company, whatever it is, potentially transcripts of calls or content that they've created, talks they've given, with permission, of course. But then the idea is that we can start getting practice sentences that sound more and more like the person, like the things that you would actually have to say at work. And then that way I can have clients just start to read through sentences, and then I interrupt them like crazy, being perfectionistic of like, oh, they said messages. I'd say, oh, not ease, is. And if they said clear or clear, I'd say, oh, you delete it or change the R. Make sure you get the clear, is clear. And we practice that. And we go, piece by piece until they can say the sentences they need pretty well. And if we wanted to, simulate a specific topic, it'll create sentences about whatever we want. So I'm thinking, it sounds good to you guys, maybe next week we'll have some people on live and do kind of some simulated accent coaching like I do with my clients, and won't be, well, actually, we could even try a bit today. I just don't want it to be too long of a live. But if there's anyone who wants to hop on for a few minutes live here, let me know in the chat on YouTube. And maybe I'll have someone join me on Zoom and we can share that live. And I can have you read some random sentences, maybe make them relevant to your life or your work if you want. Or we can keep them a little more generic. And I can give you some feedback, just like I do with my clients. So let me know, folks who are here on YouTube, if any of you want to join for some live accent coaching on Zoom, let me know in the chat, and then I can copy paste that link. But otherwise, I can keep kind of just talking about ways to train in general. So yeah, in general, no matter how you're sourcing the text or the speech, the idea is add more focus on accent as you're speaking. So something I tell my clients a lot is treino é treino, jogo é jogo. So like, let things flow. Don't worry too much about accent when it's game time, when you have a high stakes conversation. Just let it flow. Don't worry about getting things perfect. Allow yourself to say it in the old way with a strong accent even, or, imperfect grammar or whatever. Just get the job done. Focus on the human and the job in front of you, and have as good of experience there as you can on like a human level, and as well as the technical level of getting the job done, whatever that is. But then after the game, just like a pro athlete, you can watch game tape footage, audio recordings, Zoom recordings, analyze what you did wrong. We can do that together. but you could do it on your own if you want to. Just listen to yourself speaking and notice, oh, they didn't understand me. Why is that? And go listen to what you said in the phrase before that. Or have someone listen to it with you and try to figure out, okay, what exactly was probably not clear here, and try to troubleshoot that, figure out what might have caused that, if that makes sense. But yeah, so after the game, so in the game, focus on getting the job done, but then afterwards, whatever you've noticed, you can go obsessively practice that as perfectionistically as you want when you're in practice mode or low stakes games where you can afford to focus more on accent. Anyone want to join on Zoom, or not today? We can, I'll do a little more marketing for that for next week. If we don't have anyone interested today, I'll try to get some more people lined up in advance potentially, because I think that'll be valuable. But we do not have to do that today. Just if anyone wants to, we can do a quick version of that. And I'm glad that makes sense. Thanks for letting me know in the chat. I do want this to be interactive, so I'm actually reading what you guys type in the chat. And again, if any of you have questions about anything, I'm here live. I'm happy to answer whatever's on your mind. If you got a challenge, a question about pronunciation or accent, drop it in the chat, and I can try to offer my thoughts. Another thing I show clients a lot, you may have seen me show, is this thing, this pyramid. You don't have to worry too much about the stuff on the right, but if you look at the colors here and the labels on them, this is an interesting mental model for accent training, but also just getting better at any skill or sub-skill in general. So you can think about not just for your overall accent or overall English, but for a given word or given sound. Maybe for that word, like you try to say this, but you accidentally say these, and you don't realize that you're doing an E sound when it should be an I. So if you're doing that differently than you would like to, ideally, but you don't realize that there's a gap, then you could say that you're in this red part, the unconscious incompetence part. So incompetence, you're not doing it the way that you would ultimately like to do it, but you don't actually realize yet. You're not conscious that there's a gap. And then so part of the reason my job exists is to hopefully at least move you from red to yellow, where you can, even if you can't say it in the new way yet, you can at least start to notice that there's a gap. And you can start to notice, oh, I should have said this, but I said these. Even if you can't actually do it, if you can't actually say it, you can at least start to notice the difference, to hear the difference, or to be intellectually aware of the difference at least, but probably actually be able to hear it as well. And then as you start practicing, hopefully at least in simple context, maybe the word by itself or sound by itself or a really short phrase, when you're conscious of it, when you put your attention on it, you can start to actually say it in the new way, and maybe even compare and contrast, like say it in the old way and then say it in the new way, and kind of prove that you can like flip the switch between the two pronunciations. But again, that's conscious, so that's awesome, but it still requires your attention to some significant extent. And then that's kind of the ideal, is to get to the blue area where you don't have to focus on it. It doesn't require your attention, or not any, really significant attention. And you can just do it, on autopilot without having to think about it. And maybe this is this kind of mythical, land that we never really fully get to, but we can get closer and closer, more and more there. Maybe we're not there 100% of the time for 100% of the things, but we can, I think this is a useful thing to aspire to, is to move higher and higher up this pyramid as much as we can, and whatever skills you think are valuable, including accent and all these sub-skills within accent. So each individual vowel sound, consonant sound, important contrasts between them, like sick versus seek, look versus luke, the classics, shit versus sheet, and so on. They versus day, world versus word, or ego versus eagle, or however we want to map this out. The idea is for every little sub-skill that builds up to the overall accent, we can look at that sub-skill, a given word, a given sound, a given contrast, and we can kind of see, okay, are you aware of the gap? Are you able to hear it? And are you able to do it? Are you able to actually say it? And can you do it in more challenging situations where you're not able to focus on it as much? So full sentences, paragraphs, improvised speaking, maybe simulated real life situations where you're like giving a talk, walking through slides, talking about something that's hard to talk about, that's technically challenging. And so you're distracted by other things besides your accent. And ultimately also just doing the real thing, not just a simulation, but just actually living your life, having work meetings, doing public speaking, whatever it is that you need to do in real life, seeing if it actually shows up in the real situations you care about, because that's the reason we're doing this in the first place, right? So hopefully that makes sense. So let me see what we got here in the chat. Just wanted to offer that. So, okay, in the chat we got, some years ago I was obsessed with sounding like a native speaker, but eventually I grew out of it. Do you think there's less people interested in that than it was in quarantine? I don't see, I don't know, how that trends, like COVID versus not, before and after, during. I'm not aware of anything there, but there's always going to be some people who are interested and some who aren't, and people go through phases, and that's all okay. I'm here to help people who want to, but it is very much not a required thing. And so zero pressure there. And I think that it's up to you how deep you want to go, and you can always reevaluate that. You may at some point want to go deeper, invest more time, effort, money, resources, whatever, into trying to go deeper on that journey. And at some point you also might be like, good enough, or don't care that much, do a little bit, but not too much, or, everyone's at a different point in that, and there's not a single right answer. So whatever makes sense to you, I think, awesome. Basically. Hi all, I'd like to participate on Zoom. Awesome. I can have you up here if you're still here. I'd love to have you on. Hi Will, good evening everyone. Hello. Trying to understand what's the game about? What do you mean game? When I said treino jogo, is that what you're talking about? If so, that was just a metaphor of like game time would be real life, when we're having conversations at work that matter, or with people that are not at work, just, personal lives, conversations that matter. That's game time in my metaphor of treino, jogo, is any of those important conversations in our life, or important speaking moments. And then treino, or the practice mode, is everything that's not that. So lower stakes conversations that aren't as important, and or especially when we're by ourselves. Oh, the basket weaving. That was just me. That's like a silly example sometimes people use for like, I don't know if that actually exists, if people do underwater basket weaving, but it's just like kind of a silly example that might not even be real. But ChatGPT is still able to do it. But the point is, we could say like, okay, now I'm a CFO at a 3PL company. And then it'll make sentences for that context. So the point is, whatever it is you do, personally or professionally, we can create interesting practice phrases that are relevant to you. Okay, so Danilo, are you still there? Would you like to join Zoom? Let me grab the link for Zoom here. If you're here, we can get you on there, and I can help you a bit. And again, we're going to keep today pretty short, but we'll do a little Zoom coaching and then probably wrap it up. Okay, let me open Zoom here. Benner said, you're here? Awesome. I'll grab the link and post that in just a sec. Benner said, there's so many things that make you sound native that come before accent. I feel like most people give up on whatever accent they want because they're skipping a million steps. Yeah, that's an interesting take. There's definitely a lot more than just accent, right? The words being a key one. And so yeah, if someone wants to be perceived as a native speaker, it's not just about the sounds. It is about the words and potentially other stuff too, to some extent. I think the sounds and the words are the most important ones, but we could, parse that in different ways. And that's part of why I try to focus people who are already doing pretty well with the words, who already speak English well and want help with the sounds. Doesn't mean you have to be perfect with the words. Of course, you don't have to, and most people aren't. Maybe no one is. But yeah. Okay, let me grab the Zoom link here.
Recording in progress.
getting Zoom set up. Okay. Now, let me see here. Yeah, Pratt. I use Pratt sometimes, but I mainly just use Audacity. As a native, do you still have some doubt? And by the way, Danilo, if you want to join me on Zoom, I believe the waiting room is on, but once you join, I'll see you in the waiting room in Zoom, and then I can accept you. So I dropped the link in the YouTube chat if you want to hop on there. Awesome. I see you in the waiting room. Let me answer one question here in the chat, and then I'll add you, Danilo. As a native, do you still have some doubt in any case of apostrophe versus OF, as in of, I think you mean? Like Tower of the King versus King's Tower, Dark Knight versus Knight of the Dark. I don't know. Maybe I'll skip that one because it's not so much accent. Yeah, what Brandon Burns said, that's how I think it comes naturally. There's a difference in meaning. Dark Knight versus Knight of the Dark. Yeah. And also you talked about apostrophe versus of, but then the examples aren't using an apostrophe. So but yeah, I might just skip that because that's a little outside of the area I focus on. But yeah, that is the kind of stuff that you can for sure through familiarity or some level of conscious study, but part of it is just massive exposure. You can start to get a feel for. And I see we got someone else in the waiting room. I'm going to just accept Danilo for now. If we have time, maybe I can get to other folks. We'll see. But I think today's going to be quick because of the Brazil game. So feel free to hang out kind of in the line and Zoom if you want. And maybe I can get to you, but no promises because today will be a bit of a shorter call. Okay, you ready, Danilo? I'm going to add you. Plans for the game tonight? I'm just going to watch it here.
Hey,
It's
good
who's
evening.
waiting.
Can
Awesome.
you hear me?
Hey, yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Oh, wait, I got to unmute on Zoom. Yes,
Oh,
can you hear me?
Yes, I'm gonna just listen to you on Zoom. It's better.
Yeah, you
this way.
could either leave the live or mute it, or yeah, because sometimes there will be
Yeah,
double
I'm
audio.
muted.
And let me know in the YouTube chat. Can you guys hear Danilo? Can you hear me? Is there an echo? Is it okay? And for you, Danilo, is there an echo or no? Is it okay?
No, it's all right.
Okay, perfect. But yeah, let me know in the chat and YouTube. Can you guys hear Danilo? Everything fine? Awesome. So if you want, Danilo, we can dive straight in. We can get some practice raises here in ChatGPT about, if you want to tell me, it's up to you, of course, how much you want to share here with people listening and stuff. But if you're willing to share, like, maybe what you do for work, like your role or company or industry or something, we could have stuff for that if that's interesting to you. Or if you want to just do maybe like a different topic area, like a hobby you're interested in. We could also just do kind of random sentences about something not even related to you. Do you have a preference?
Okay. I work as a teacher and translator, but it would be okay if it's like something more general,
Yeah, sure. Let's
Yeah.
say now teacher / translator. What kind of stuff might you have to talk about in those? Are there certain key subject areas that you might need to get into a lot? And we could double check your pronunciation. I mean, teacher, it could be do you teach English or something else or what?
Yeah, but actually it's more like Portuguese to Americans,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, we could take this wherever you think is interesting, but we could say like, let's just see what it does for this. We could see like, because if we get you saying words like grammar and vocab, a lot of people mispronounce things like that. Oh, I thought I was telling you to switch roles. I'll say make sentences, make phrases for a client who teaches Portuguese to Americans. We'll see what it does with that. How about we try some of these? Can you see it? Is it big enough? And let me also
No.
share my screen on.
I'm just seeing you. I'm not seeing your screen.
I think now you should be able to see
Okay.
me.
Yeah. No, it's all right.
Okay, cool. Is it big enough?
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I'll interrupt you a lot if that's okay. Try to start reading the first sentence, and I'll just tell you whatever I'm noticing as you go.
Okay. One of my students finally understood the difference.
So you kind of
between
did stood. So we want to do good.
Stood. Yeah.
Stood.
Understood.
The same vowel as
Yeah,
in good.
stood.
Understood.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Understood. Yeah.
Awesome.
So one of my students finally understood the difference between.
And instead of D,
Word
you
and-
went a little bit towards D, and we want to do
D.
di. Difference.
The difference.
Good.
Okay, I get it. The difference between
Good.
por and para.
Can you try these three words back to back just to see if you can do
Okay.
that chunk?
Understood the difference between.
Yeah, a couple more
por
times,
and
see if you can
para.
get it.
Understood the difference. The second one is more difficult, I guess.
Yeah, even
Like
there,
the first one,
difficult.
Understood.
You said difficult, but it should be difficult.
Difficult. I
Good.
don't know. Is it like that? Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing great. And by the way, this is totally normal. So, and thanks by the way for being willing to do this live. You're doing great.
No, I'm
So
glad.
yeah,
I'm glad.
try it a few more times if you're willing, and see if you can get both
Okay.
the and stood and the and difference. See if you can get everything.
Okay.
I know it takes practice, but see if you can get it.
Okay. Understood the difference.
Yeah, the di,
Understood
stood the
the-
di, stood the
the-
di,
the-
understood the difference.
The difference. Difference. Difficult. Difference. Okay. I feel like
Yeah, that's
I
good.
got it. I just need like practice more, you know.
Yeah, that's where it's
I
this thing again. It's like you might have it in kind of the green area when you focus on it, but as we start moving kind of more into blue and we make the sentences longer, or if you're not paying as much attention, that's where it's going to slip. So it's like
yeah.
you kind of got it, but
Definitely.
in what way did you get it? Does that make sense? We need to keep pushing it deeper, and we don't have to do that now, but that's your journey in front of you. Is if you want to not just be able to say these words when you focus on it, but in real life, then you would want to train it in phrases. You would want to improvise, talk to yourself in the shower, in the bus, in the car, random moments, and just use these words in a bunch of random different kind of imaginary situations. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, you can keep going if you want. And also, is
Okay.
this helping? Just to make sure, is this kind of what you're hoping for?
Yeah, sure. It's helping a lot.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Happy to help.
I finally understood the difference between por and para after hearing several real-world examples.
Yeah, pretty good. You might have done after instead of a. I would do an a instead of an a. After.
After, like
Ah, like
don't know.
bad, or cat, or dad,
after.
Yeah, that's a tricky sound for a lot of people because you don't
Yeah,
exactly have
like,
that sound in
it's-
Portuguese.
Yeah, this one is kind of tricky for me. Can you repeat it again, please?
Yeah, so not not but That's pretty close.
After.
After.
I don't know. Yeah,
You're really
it's
close,
okay.
actually. Yeah.
After.
Yeah, and of course, we're not going to solve all the world's problems in one call, so
Yeah.
to speak. But hopefully,
Certainly.
we can kind of plant some seeds for later, and you can keep exploring it after the call too.
Okay.
So yeah,
So,
there's one, and there might be some little ones I'm not commenting on, but I'm trying to point out some of the, good amount of the stuff I'm hearing. You want to move on to number 2?
Yeah. Okay. I try to balance grammar.
So you kind of did
explanations.
chew a little bit. So instead of a TCH here, we want to aim for a T, like a T. And one hack for that is instead of saying the oo sound, which is not wrong, we can do something else that natives do a lot, which is switch it to a schwa, like a I try to,
To.
and it could even become like a try to instead of t.
Try
Could be
to.
try to, yeah, almost like a D or like the R and para. Try to.
Mhm. Try it. Like
Uh-huh.
I try to balance.
I try to balance.
Okay, this one is not that difficult. I try to balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should make
Like
it
that.
easier. Because, yeah, that chu is a really common word that's like a pretty noticeable Brazilian accent when people say chu. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's one kind of hack that is a real thing, is if you switch it to t or some version of that, it'll instantly sound
Try
like
to
a less
or
strong
try
accent.
try to.
And maybe sound
Mhm.
more American. Yeah. And let me check in the comments here real quick because we got a couple people saying some things as we go. To versus chew, things versus tings. Should see the screen. Got the screen on now. T's and th. Practice. Yeah, it was. Did we say practice? No, but yeah, in practice it has the a sound after. Yeah. Can difference also be pronounced with a schwa sound in the difference? I wouldn't say it's a schwa. No, that would be a little too far. Difference, unless there's like a specific example where it could go there. I'm not thinking of. But I would recommend thinking of it as a not an in the first syllable of difference. Okay, I think I'm caught up on the chat pretty much. Someone, Better said, I hear a schwa sound. I'm not sure where that was. And then yeah, cool. I think we're caught up. But yeah, keep saying stuff in the chat, guys, as much whatever's popping up. I want to keep it interactive. Second syllable schwa. Difference. Oh, maybe indifference. Rinse, runts, difference. There might be a little more flexibility. But in the stress syllable, the first syllable, I'd say it should be a. And the second syllable, the rinse or runts or something like that, I think it's a little more flexible for what the exact sound is. Okay. You want to try number 2 now? Or keep going on number 2, I guess?
Okay. I try to, yeah.
Yeah, great.
I try to balance grammar and explanations with natural conversations.
So maybe
So
natural instead of a o.
Natural.
I think I maybe heard a o or oo. Natural,
O.
and I would do o. Natural.
O, natural, like O.
Yeah, so it's
Natural.
different from an o. This is another like new sound that doesn't really exist in Brazilian Portuguese nowadays as much, as far as I'm aware. Most Brazilians don't really do this sound in Portuguese. But it's I keep my lips kind of neutral, like not doing a biquinho, so not in the shape of a u or o, but instead just like a shape, just like a relaxed kind of. Yeah, I mean, it just basically my lips are not like necessarily like stretched into a smile, and they're not like in a u shape. They're just kind of like if your mouth is relaxed, your lips are relaxed. They're probably going to be just kind of here. If you can see me, I don't know if you can see me well enough, but
Yeah.
something like that. And then while I'm holding neutral lips like that, my tongue kind of stretches or pulls back towards my throat. So it's less about what happens with the tip of the tongue. The tip of the tongue will probably go up a little bit, but it doesn't have to touch the roof of the mouth, but it'll probably go up a little bit. But like you can think of the kind of the back or the whole tongue kind of like stretching backwards. And you get this kind of sound.
Oh, that's quite difficult. This one, like like.
Yeah, you're still kind of
I
doing
don't know.
O. One thing that helps people sometimes, and we may not get it today, and that's okay, is but if you start
okay.
with sticking your tongue out, and then you start pulling your
Out.
tongue back into your mouth, but you don't stop pulling it back, you just keep pulling it back, you might be able to find that space. So let me see if I can demonstrate that. So it's like, so it's like that same motion of retracting your tongue. If your tongue is out and you start pulling it back in your mouth, that retraction, like you just keep pulling it back until you eventually get that kind of throat sound.
Like I don't know. It's kind of difficult. I don't know if I'm getting like
You might have a bit of it there. And you might also be
Natural
sometimes
O.
still like kind of doing the bikini with your lips, but I think you might be on the right track. And you can also check some of the videos I have on it and stuff. It might take more practice beyond today if we don't get it right now. But if you want, you can keep trying it, and we can see if we can get it.
Okay. Like natural.
Yeah. O versus
O.
o.
Natural. Like.
Yeah, I don't think we have it yet, but that's okay. I might have heard some hints of it, so you might be in the right neighborhood, but we'll need some more exploration. And also, just a reminder, it's not the end of the world. It's very understandable, and some Americans do kind of a O sound there. But yeah, if you want to sound like me or so-called general American accent, I would recommend learning that sound.
Okay.
And let me check the chat here. Eu acho que a sílaba tônica da palavra nunca vai ter schwa. Posso estar errado, o schwa é comum nas sílabas átonas. Yeah, acho que eu concordo. Depende da definição de schwa versus strut, o sound. Tem pessoas que juntam esses dois sons como se fosse um som só. Aí pode existir em sílabas com estresse e sílabas sem estresse, os dois. Mas quem divide e separa schwa e esse strut ou sound, aí tem essa divisão baseada em estresse. It's like you're about to say L plus whatever vowel, just don't say the vowel. Interesting. Trying to understand that. L plus a vowel, so like la, l. Well, we could try that. I think it depends on, not everyone does a dark L for that, but maybe we will. We could try that. So try to say just like or love or something like that. You still there, Danilo?
Yeah, I thought you were like answering the comments.
Oh yeah, it wasn't clear. Sorry. I'm talking to you now. Can you try to say...
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, don't worry. You're good. I could have made it more clear. Try to say a word like.
Like.
Okay, we might be able to use that. So say something like, that, where you have an L and then a vowel, but then just don't say the vowel. So it's like trick your brain, like you're going to say lie or la or lo or whatever, and then just don't say the vowel.
Well, it's
Just do the
almost
L.
impossible. Like just the L, like without the.
Yeah, you can do it. So it's like instead of lie, it would be like l. It's like you start getting ready to say it, but you only say the L and you just cut it off before the vowel.
Like this. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But then you can try to say the word again, like, and see if you think you actually did the L the same way in both, or if you accidentally changed it when you try to do it by itself.
Okay, like, like, I don't know if it's.
It might be
right.
that. Yeah, it might be slightly different. But I think that's an interesting way to explore, is like when you're saying the word, I think I'm hearing you do a bit of a dark L, like a ol, not just a la. Because like if you have like a Spanish speaker and they say like la, the L is lighter. It's like this la, like just the tongue tip kind of. But I think I'm hearing you do, instead of a la, I think I'm hearing a la, like a bit more of a, like the back or root of the tongue, the supposed, dark L thing happening. So again, we may not solve it today, so to speak, but that's an interesting approach to potentially find that sound. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I'll try to practice it later, like after, like.
Awesome.
Makes sense.
And no worries, if it continues to be hard, if you don't get it, that's normal, right?
Like I'm getting, but I'll need to practice a lot,
Yeah. And feel free to reach out, or trying to think if there's a good like public way that I've made to search this. We could do So I have at least one video that there's more, but there's one that's like in the kind of publicly searchable database of my reels. People, pull. So you might be able to use that as a reference point. So I'll drop this in the YouTube chat. Actually, I'll do it this way. I'll drop 2 links in the YouTube chat. There's one to search reels, and then I'll also drop the link to the reel itself about dark L. So yeah, the 2 links in the YouTube chat. The first one is a little search tool where you can search some of my Instagram reels based on what they're about, the word or the sound or whatever. It's not everything, it's not complete, but there's maybe 200 in there that you can search. And I have a private version that's all of my reels that I might make public. I'm just still working on that. And then I also put the second link is a reel specifically about dark L, so you can use that as reference to help kind of remember what we talked about a little bit. Cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll probably wrap up because we're getting towards the Brazil game. Lily, I guess I could have you on real quick if you're there, just because I know you've been waiting. So if you're still there, let me know in the YouTube chat. I think it's Laiani or Lily. Any other questions before I potentially move on to the next person, Danilo? Was this helpful? Anything
Yeah,
else on your mind?
it was helpful. Thanks.
Awesome.
No,
Yeah.
nothing more. I'm gonna practice what we
Okay. Oh,
done.
here in the chat, Brandon said, tell him to say Lily, the name Lily.
Lily, like Lily,
Yeah.
Lily.
I think if you explore that L sound, I think you already have a dark L happening. You're just gonna have to kind of retrain your brain to like make that a building block that you can put in other words. You know, like at the end of natural, to be able to do an L that is not like a ooh, but instead is like the L you're doing in Lily, if that makes sense.
Oh, Lily, like
Yeah. I think you're already doing it. It's just, yeah, it'll take practice to kind of build a bridge from what you already know to the new places that you need to do it, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Awesome. All right. Anything else before we go to the next person?
No, that's it. I appreciate
Awesome.
it. Thank you.
Great to meet you, Danilo, and good luck.
Yeah, it
Root
was
for you.
nice talking to you.
Yeah, likewise. All right, Lily, I'm going to add you to Zoom. And again, we're going to wrap up pretty soon because Brazil game. But I want to help you out a little bit here. All right, I think you're here on Zoom. If you unmute, I should be able to hear you. You might need to mute the YouTube live so you don't hear two audios. But yeah, unmute on Zoom if you can.
Hello.
Hello, I hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome.
You hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. So you want to
Okay.
practice a sentence or two? Do you want them to be about maybe what you do for your work or a hobby or something? Any preference?
Yeah, I'm a middle English teacher. At a
Middle?
public
What does
school.
middle mean in this context?
Middle means like that is primary school, and then middle school, right?
Oh yeah,
I'm not
middle
sure.
school. Okay, middle school English teacher. Yeah, gotcha. Because you had just
Okay.
said middle English teacher, I think, if I heard you. right. And maybe you
middle
forgot the
English
word school.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I was just clarifying. Because like middle English would be interesting if we're talking about like the old version of English, middle English. I think that's what it's called. One of the old versions of English. But yeah, middle school English teacher. Okay. So we'll say
Okay.
now phrases a middle school English teacher. Is that in Brazil, like helping Brazilians learn English, or in the US, or how does that, what kind of?
No, like I teach at a public school.
Uh-huh.
It is a public school.
But what,
So-
like, where are your students from? Are they native speakers of Portuguese, English, something else, a mix?
Yeah. They're native Portuguese speakers
Gotcha. In Brazil?
in Brazil. So a lot of teachers, they're not fluent in the language, especially in public schools. So I don't I want to get better at pronunciation, but I don't see myself like I don't need to sound like a native speaker.
Sure. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I focus on people generally who do want to, but at the same time, literally zero pressure. I think it's amazing to not do that too. And I can still help you here live. And you're already doing great, by the way. Your English sounds awesome.
And
So yeah, you don't really care about sounding native or like an American. You just want to be clear. Is that kind of the idea, or?
exactly. I want to sound better, but not necessarily like a native speaker.
Yeah, makes sense. Oh, and Asiel there in the chat said trying to make Zoom work, but it failed. I saw you were in the waiting room, so maybe you thought it failed, but it was actually working. Because I saw you appear in like the line. Você estava na fila. Isso saiu. So if you want to join, I could potentially fit you in real quick still. Just rejoin, and you thought it was not working, but I think it was. So just do the thing you did and just don't leave, and I'll see you here, and I can add you after Lily for a brief check-in if you want. But no pressure. You don't have to if you don't want. Okay, so yeah, do you maybe want to read through some of these sentences? I don't know if they're realistic to what you actually have to do, but... And yeah, I guess many people here will be watching Brazil versus Scotland soon. Not sure you remember. Oh, I definitely remember. We're going to be wrapping up the live pretty quick here. But yeah, do you want to read through some of these that they look
Okay.
okay? And I'll interrupt you if anything. So how picky do you want me to be? Because usually I'm pretty picky because some people want to sound like an American. But in your case, I could ignore anything that's clear and just point out if it's not clear, if you prefer that.
Well, I want you to be like, not exactly. I don't want you to focus. I want you to focus on mistakes that can cause like misunderstandings.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. Which sometimes depends on the definition. It's like a little blurry where that starts and ends, like pronunciation versus accent. But I'll try to honor that as much as I can.
Good morning, everyone. Please put your phones away and take out your notebooks.
Awesome. No notes. Keep going.
Before we begin, let's review what we learned in the last class.
Yeah, I think
In the
that's
last
good.
class.
Let me just comment on Asiel. Asiel, I see you in the waiting room. You said Zoom isn't my friend. No worries. You're here. It's working. So I see you in the waiting room. If you're willing to just hang out like you are right now, and maybe a few minutes, I can help you out a little bit. O'Banner Benner said T rather than TCH, like the previous guest, just less noticeable. I didn't even notice, so maybe that did happen. Let's see, where would that have been? Take out your notebooks. Before we begin, let's review what we learned in the last class. Would that have been output? Yeah, I don't know. What? Yeah, maybe read number 2 again. I'll see if I hear it and like what or anything.
Okay. Can we begin? Let's review what we've learned in the last class. In the last class, is it okay?
It can
I
be.
change something?
Yeah, in the you could do the TH more clearly potentially in the
In the last class. In the last class.
yeah, you're kind of doing in instead of in the in
the last class.
yeah, that was more
In the
clear.
last class.
And one of the tips I give people sometimes to connect N plus TH a little more smoothly is that you could do the N in the TH position when they're together like this, because sounds kind of have gravity and they pull on each other, so the TH can kind of pull the N into the TH position. So like if you can see me, my video, let me actually do this real quick to be a little bigger. So N is usually kind of behind the teeth, touching the bump in the gums, na, 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 and the TH is kind of between the teeth. But I can put my tongue in the TH spot, and while doing that, do it, and then the transition, I'm doing an N in the TH position to the TH is easier because my tongue's already there. So I can go in the, do you see that?
Yeah, I can see that.
Awesome. And I think technically what's happening is I'm still doing the N up there. I'm just, instead of doing it with the tip of my tongue, like if my hand represents my tongue, instead of using the tip like I normally would, I think the tip is kind of busy in the, kind of between the teeth. And so instead I use a part a little bit behind the tip. It kind of goes up and still touches that spot behind the teeth, I think, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Awesome.
It does
So
make sense.
I think that's what's happening. But the point is, it's a thing that we can, I think if you practice that, it'll make that transition a little easier with the N and the TH position. Can you do that?
Can I repeat?
Try in the by itself though, just to spot check.
In the sentence.
And then you're kind of, the I is floating a little towards E sometimes in these last few. So instead of in, aim for in with the I sound, kind of like if ish had. In. Yep.
In the sentence. In the sentence.
In the last class, in the sentence, in the car, in the book. Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
In the.
Yep. Great job.
Thanks.
Do you feel that difference?
Yeah, I can feel the difference.
Awesome. Great. If you want, maybe read one more, and then if it's okay with you, I might move to the other person that's in line for Zoom and wrap up. Just because of the Brazil game, I want to get all of us. I want to selfishly get out of here, but then for everyone too.
Okay.
Okay.
So I can read the last sentence and.
Yeah, whatever one you want, or number 3, or you can read the last one again real quick too. Whatever you want to do.
But I'm not seeing on the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The
I just forgot. There you go. Yeah, it's hard to read if you can't see it. That's my bad.
Okay. Can someone this is a tricky word. Can someone volunteer to read the first paragraph out loud?
Yeah, really good. I think the first time you said it, you might have put the stress on the 1, And I think I would usually stress some. Can someone?
Some. Can someone volunteer to read the first paragraph out loud?
Yeah. Yeah, that was great. I think you're doing great. Any mistakes you make, they would be, you know, I would guess most of them are going to be pretty minor. And if there are major ones, they would be fairly rare. Because I've listened to you talk for at least a few minutes now, and you're doing great. You don't have like the big, obvious classical mistakes that are all over the place that most Brazilians have when I listen. So you've already done a really great job. Even though you say your goal is not to sound native, you're like a lot closer to that than most people. So I think you're doing great. And you're
Thanks,
clear,
like I said.
which is the thing you care about, right? So far, everything was clear. And I cut you off, sorry.
Thanks. I'm gonna let the others join the
Okay, anything else before we go? Was this helpful? Anything else before we go? Just
It
checking
was
in.
very helpful. You're an amazing coach.
Awesome. Happy to help, and your students are lucky to have you too. I'm glad you're helping people, and I think you'll do a better job than a lot of teachers with kind of modeling clear pronunciation. So that's great.
Thanks.
Yeah, happy to help. All right, take care. And then Asiel, you just left the line. If you're still available, I could do a quick, hop on again, and we could do a quick little Zoom thing. Otherwise, we can wrap up. I'll check in here on the chat, but yeah, Asiel, if you're still there, hop back on Zoom if you want to. If not, no worries. Okay, so let me catch up on the chat. T rather than TCH. I like the N becoming an N sound. Becoming an N sound. Maybe work on the abrupt pause and mountain sentences. Do we have the word failed successfully? Yeah, Asiel, you were in Zoom, and then you just disappeared like 20, 30 seconds ago. So it was working. I just saw you disappear just now, though. So if you're able to do whatever you did to be in Zoom in the waiting room, I think it was working. You just need to rejoin, and I can let you in. But either way is okay. I do this every week. I can help you again in another week. It's all good. Let's see. Maybe work on the abrupt pause and mountain and sentences. Did we have that anywhere here? She was saying sentence, right? In the sentence. I didn't pay super close attention. Sentences sounded a little off to me, and being picky, she was great. Yeah. I think it didn't stand out to me in a big way. If we were being really picky, which I don't think she needed based on her goal, maybe there could be a slight adjustment, but nothing jumped out at me. You may have heard something legitimate, but I think it was good enough. I think it was clear. Really good speaking. I agree. Yeah, she was great. Asiel said, sorry, next time if I can. Yes, no worries at all. Let's wrap up and enjoy the Brazil game. I was there, but my mic refuses to work. Got it. All right, folks. Hopefully this was helpful. Every Wednesday, I'll be on here, sometimes doing live people on Zoom, sometimes reviewing pre-submitted audio, sometimes both, answering questions in chat. Here to help. If you guys want to become a client, link in my Instagram bio. It should be a link below this video as well. If you want more free help, in addition to this live, check out my reels on Instagram and check out the link below this YouTube video. It's also in the highlights on my Instagram page for some free resources for accent. E vai Brasil!